Alright guys, buckle up because something big just shifted in global politics, and it might reshape the balance of power for years to come. After weeks of escalating tariffs, sharp accusations, and tense posturing between Washington and New Delhi, we now have a surprise twist. Donald Trump and India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi just announced that trade negotiations are back on. Yes, you heard that right. After months of bitterness, angry speeches, and economic threats, the two leaders are suddenly calling each other close friends. But here's the real question. Is this the start of a genuine breakthrough? Or just another tactical game in the never-ending US-India drama? Stick with me, because what's playing out here is much bigger than just tariffs. It's about oil, power, alliances, and whether America can afford to push India away at a time when the world order itself is shifting. Before we dive in, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been supporting this channel. Every like, every comment, every subscription, it really does keep this community alive. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button, because what we cover here goes way beyond the headlines. Not long ago, the US-India relationship looked like it was in free fall. Remember? The United States slapped a 25% tariff on Indian exports. Then Trump doubled down, jacking it up to 50% in retaliation for India's continued purchase of Russian oil. That move didn't just rattle trade, it shook the entire relationship. New Delhi was furious. Indian officials made it crystal clear they weren't going to jeopardize their energy security for 1.4 billion people just to satisfy Washington's political optics. And honestly, who could blame them? India, the world's third-largest oil consumer, relies heavily on discounted Russian crude to stabilize its economy. Without it, inflation spikes, energy costs skyrocket, and hundreds of millions feel the pain. So, India stood firm. They would keep buying Russian oil, period. Meanwhile, Trump wasn't just targeting India. He pressured the European Union to slap 100% tariffs on India and China for Russian oil imports, promising that the US would mirror any European penalties. It was a bold attempt to isolate Moscow economically, but it also risked something bigger, pushing India right into the arms of China and Russia. This standoff wasn't just about money, it was about trust, about perception. When Modi appeared at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit with Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, Trump lashed out, claiming India had been lost to China. That one word, lost, sent shockwaves through Indian politics. New Delhi doesn't see itself as anyone's pawn, and the idea that Washington could dismiss its independence so casually struck a nerve. Then came another misstep. Trump reminded the world of his supposed role in mediating tensions between India and Pakistan. That suggestion? A red line for India. For decades, New Delhi has insisted that its disputes with Pakistan are strictly bilateral. No third parties, no outsiders, and certainly not American presidents trying to play referee. The result? Relations soured even further. And yet, here we are today, Trump posting on Truth Social about his good friend Modi and how negotiations will lead to a successful conclusion. Modi quickly responding on X, calling the US a close friend and natural partner. What changed? How do you go from threats of 100% tariffs to talk of a beautiful deal almost overnight? Well, according to former US trade negotiator Mark Kalinscott, the answer isn't any single concession. It's about the conversations happening quietly behind closed doors. Both sides realized they were drifting toward a dangerous edge, and neither could afford to fall off. Here's the reality. The US is India's largest export market by far. The value of Indian goods sold to America exceeds everything India exports to the entire BRICS bloc combined. Let that sink in. If that trade pipeline collapses, India loses billions, American businesses lose access to critical suppliers, and both economies take a hit. At the same time, Washington knows it cannot afford to alienate India. Why? Because in the grand chessboard of geopolitics, India is the swing state. If New Delhi drifts too far toward Moscow and Beijing, America's strategy in Asia crumbles. So despite the fiery rhetoric, both Trump and Modi had powerful incentives to cool things down. Let's not forget, at the heart of this conflict is energy. India reduced its Russian oil imports slightly in late August, a symbolic gesture that signaled flexibility, not surrender, but enough to create diplomatic breathing room. Meanwhile, Trump softened his tone, telling crowds that he would always be friends with Modi, even if they didn't agree on everything. That kind of language isn't accidental, it's calculated. It signals to investors, allies, and yes, voters, that he's capable of making deals, not just breaking them. And here's the kicker. India is also in sensitive talks with the European Union for a free trade agreement. Those negotiations would be heavily influenced by how India handles its relationship with Washington. Modi can't afford to burn bridges on both sides of the Atlantic. Reports suggest that a team of Indian trade negotiators could be heading to Washington as soon as next week. Their mission? Push back against the 25% and 50% tariffs. Seek relief from penalties tied to Russian oil imports. Explore the framework for a broader trade reset. This isn't just about tariffs anymore. It's about setting the stage for a new phase in US-India relations. And let's be honest, both Trump and Modi thrive on big announcements. Both love dramatic gestures. Don't be surprised if we see a highly publicized deal rolled out in the coming weeks, even if the fine print remains messy. Here's where things get truly fascinating. This isn't just about America and India, it's about the wider world. For Russia, every barrel of oil sold to India is a lifeline that helps fund its war in Ukraine. For China, a weakened US-India relationship is a strategic gift. For Europe, these shifts determine whether its fragile energy markets stabilize or spiral further. So the stakes are enormous. What happens in these talks will ripple through global markets, alliances, and maybe even elections. So here's the big question. Is this a genuine reset, or just another chapter in a cycle of threats and reconciliations? On one hand, the incentives are clear. Both sides need each other. On the other, deep disagreements remain, especially around Russia, oil, and the role India sees for itself in the global order. What do you guys think? Is this the start of a true US-India breakthrough or just a temporary pause before the next clash? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one of them, and if you found this breakdown useful, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who's following global politics. It really helps this channel grow, and it keeps us bringing you analysis you won't find on mainstream media. Thanks for watching. And until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay tuned. And